I am Nia-Malika Henderson in the Washington Post newsroom down at the Republican convention in Tampa. This is 5 Questions With. We have joining us today Artur Davis, who made a splash last night, giving a convention speech. The floor here, very different from what you did in 2008. Tell me,
it was a better speech this time.
It was a better speech. So tell me the difference between 2008, when you were part of the nominating process for President, then Senator Obama, and here you are in Tampa doing something very different.
Well, I put my movement, if you will, in context. As I pointed out last night, and as I often point out, there are about 6.3 million Americans who voted for President Obama who indicate they don't plan to do that. That's a lot of people. When presidents have gotten reelected historically, it's because they've improved their voter share from term 1 to term 2. No president who's not improved his voter share has been reelected in 100 and some years. It's going to be very hard for President Obama to win because there's a chunk, an identifiable chunk of people who voted for him who don't feel the promise of the Obama presidency has been realized and who certainly think that the economy is stuck in neutral.
Was there a moment when you decided to leave? I'm sure there was a moment, but tell me about that moment. Pinpoint that moment when you said you're going to leave the Democratic Party.
I can't give you an epiphany kind of saw on the road to Damascus moment, but I can give you a moment that I think said something about the head of the Democratic Party. When Occupy Wall Street last year was forming and was trying to assert itself as a political force, I happen to think that Occupy Wall Street was one of the least coherent movements that I had seen organized in American politics in a while. I thought it was a movement whose sole premise was that they didn't like people who were extremely successful and they want to galvanize opposition to them. When I saw the Democratic Party more or less embrace that movement and try to find a way to co-opt it, I thought that that was proof positive that a Democratic Party that used to have a strong pro-growth, pro-business impulse had very much lost its way. So that was a crystallizing kind of moment that said something to me about where the head of the modern Democratic Party is located.
Have you talked to President Obama
No.
recently at all, or any of your
I didn't talk
Democratic
to President
friends?
Obama when I was a Democrat that much. Last time I talked to President Obama, I think, was when he was trying to round up votes on health care reform back in 2010. I certainly was a supporter of the president. Don't mean to minimize that or suggest otherwise, and was proud to have been a supporter. I was never a close friend, a close acquaintance of the president. I know there are some in some circles who may have thought that. That's just not accurate.
Now, are you going to run for a congressional seat in Virginia? I understand that's where you're living now. You're you're done with Alabama, it seems
Well,
like.
I will give you the shocking answer that I have no current plans to run for anything, a formulation I'm sure you've never heard before. I'm not focused on running for office. I'm focused on trying to help good Republicans get elected. I haven't even spent time making an assessment of the kind of things you have to, like fundraising and districts and that kind of thing. State politics, frankly, interests me more than federal politics in terms of getting things done. That's why I ran for governor a few years ago. So I'm not focused on running for any particular office. I'm not focused on any particular political agenda of mine. There are good people right now who are in office who are serving in Virginia. I want to help them and help be a part of their team.
BET just did a poll, and they showed that 2% of African American voters are supporting the Romney-Ryan ticket. That's down from 6 or 4% that McCain got, certainly down from what Bush got. I think it was 11%.
Sure.
Why aren't there more black Republicans who are attracted to this ticket?
Barack Obama is an iconic figure in the black community, and I respect that, and every African American understands that and respects that. He is an incredible role model, an incredible symbol for African Americans. The community takes enormous pride in him. Now, for a few of us, that pride doesn't translate into thinking that we have to vote for him irrespective of his record. Condi Rice is speaking at this convention tonight. Condi Rice is the most successful African-American woman in American history. She's going to be speaking tonight about why she thinks Mitt Romney is a better leader of the United States and why he will better defend the United States' interests in the world. I support Mitt Romney, and I made that case last night.
It's two of you.
Well,
it's getting to 2%
didn't say
or
the
something.
numbers were going to be very high. The numbers are not going to be very high. But ultimately, there's not going to be a Condi Rice speaking at the Democratic Convention because no Democratic black woman's ever gone that far. There's not going to be a Tim Scott speaking at the Democratic Convention because no Democrat in the Deep South has managed to win in a non-black district. There's not going to be a Democratic Indian American speaking like, say, Nikki Haley, who spoke after me last night, because the Democratic Party has never managed to elevate an Indian American for that position. Ted Cruz spoke before me. Their Democratic Party, with all the Hispanics in Texas, never elected an Hispanic to statewide office. Ted Cruz is about to become a U.S. Senator. If people want to see a party where African Americans are being given full opportunities to succeed regardless of their race, they'll see it in Tampa this week and not next week in Charlotte.
Great. Thank you so much, Artur Davis. Good luck, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Neil.